everybody, and welcome to a very special live interview today. And I'm joined by someone who reached out to me recently on social media just to ask me for my advice on starting uh, a channel, an ex Muslim channel like mine. And I did give her some advice, and we just talked about our motivations for why we wanted to create content as ex Muslims and uh, why it was important for us to share our stories. And when I was listening to this person, and she's going by the pseudonym Zahra for this interview and going forward with her social media, I realized that I think she has a very interesting perspective to share to other ex-Muslims and to a lot of people who maybe don't realize what the impacts of leaving Islam are like exactly, especially for someone who comes from a very different background from me. So Zahra is from East Asia, and we're not going to specify it more than that, just for privacy and safety reasons. And considering I'm Arab, I had a very different experience of Islam and how I was introduced to it and how I left it compared to Zahra. So I think this is a perspective that we really could use, especially people within the ex Muslim community who come from her background who normally don't get that kind of exposure online. And I think I'm really privileged to have Zahra join me, and I'm going to bring her on now. So Zahra, you can talk now.
Hello, nice
Hello.
to meet you. Uh, sorry, I'm really nervous for this.
Totally okay. Totally okay.
Hi, my name is Zara. I'm from East Asia. I'm very grateful that this opportunity has been given to me. I hope that I could help you guys and inspire you guys. Hopefully, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm like really nervous.
No, it's totally okay. You'll get more comfortable as we keep going. And really, like I told you, Zahra, when we're off air, just a conversation like we had privately. And I think the only thing to note is that what you're doing is really brave and really important because there's a lot of people who are in your position who've experienced what you've experienced, and I think what you're doing is you're speaking for the people who can't speak for themselves, and that's so important.
Yeah, thank you. I feel very motivated when you say things like that. I feel very happy that I've been given this chance to talk on here. Hopefully, I could help and do more. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
I'm glad to hear that, and you're very welcome. So for everyone watching, I left a question in the live chat, and the question is basically asking, does Islam oppress women or does Islam liberate women? Because I think this is something that you'll hear very conflicting things about from people within the Muslim community and from people who are critical of Islam, whether they're people from other religions, people who've left Islam, or just secular people in general. And I think that's really important when it comes to uh, people who convert to Islam later on in life, because they hear one side of the story about Islam when it comes to women, and then they learn what the reality is. And some of them still believe, the ones who are still believers still believe that it liberates women, and then some people they have a change of perspective once they learn a little bit more about the religion. So we're going to be talking about that, and you can vote in the live chat for that question. And when we're done with the interview as well, uh, Zahra was very generous and kind enough to agree to answer some questions. So if you have any questions for Zahra or me, please leave them in the live chat, and I'll save them and collect them, and then we can go through some of them at the end. So yeah, with that out of the way, I just also wanted to say, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. I think it's really important to amplify voices like Zahra's, and just liking this video will really help a lot in getting it out there. So with that out of the way, Zahra, I'd love to ask you the first question that I think is a good way to just introduce you to everyone.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so that question is, how did you first learn about Islam? What was your first introduction to Islam?
Well, my first introduction in Islam is for because I had friends that are Muslim, and at some point, like in school, I had a crush there was like a Muslim guy in my class, and I had a crush on him. And it's kind of funny to say this, but I mean, it's funny that how my story started like that. Because of that, I was like, I would decided to research Islam because of him, because he was Muslim. So I researched it, but like I ended up getting ghosted, but I still continue researching, and I somehow came across many posts about Islam, and I actually kind of like eventually fell in love with the religion itself during that time. Um, so it wasn't, I didn't convert for like a guy or anything like that. It was like I started researching because of him, and that's how like I actually got into it. And I found like some posts on Instagram, and I spoke to people online, like social media, Instagram, stuff like that. And those people like on online, like they kind of like influenced me towards like coming to Islam, because they explained to me like all the stuff that seemed to make sense to me during that time. So like with Christianity, like there's like the Trinity and stuff like that, and I was thinking about how other religions had this idol worshipping religions, and it didn't make sense to me. And so from there onwards, I was like, I want to become Muslim. I want to worship Allah, and I want to become Muslim. So that's how I got into Islam, because like people like talking to people on Instagram and stuff like that, they kind of like made me feel like this is the right choice for me. So that's how I kind of got into it.
So Zahra, just so we can understand context as well. So you you didn't grow up in a Muslim community. Was Islam like the majority religion, or was it more of a minority religion?
Wait, sorry, what's your question again? I apologize.
No worries. Where you were living, was Islam like all around you? Was it the majority religion everybody's practicing, or was it more of a minority religion that only some people were practicing?
It was majority.
Majority, so it was always around you your whole life.
Yes.
Yeah. And within your own family, what was the religious background?
The religious background of my family,
Mhm.
they are they kind of are mixed. They don't really have a specific religion they follow, but they most of them just like follow based off like what our ancestors follow, so Buddhism and Taoism.
Buddhism and Taoism. So, with that in mind, before you before you got your crush on the that Muslim person, what was your opinion of Islam? Like, what was your idea of it? Like, considering it was all
I
around you.
I didn't really have an opinion on it. I didn't mind like Islam. I didn't really care. I just thought that it's just a normal religion and stuff like that. I didn't know much about it, so I didn't really have much thoughts. But like I knew about Ramadan and stuff like that, so that's basically it.
Mhm.
I didn't really have much in mind. I didn't really mind like the stuff. So yeah.
So you mentioned something about Christianity and how you felt that the whole concept of the Trinity seemed like idol worship. I guess that's from
No,
the
I'm talking about other religions, like some idol worshiping religions.
idol. Oh, so Christianity and other idol worship religions. Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say was the thing that stood out to you with Islam as, okay, this just feels right. This feels like this is the thing I should believe.
I think that it was definitely the how there's like a one God, and like most like I see like other religions, like they're like it seems like, oh, the Father is the God, or like the Son is the God, or like they worship like some statue or something like that. And I'm not trying to discriminate against religions. Like this is not my mentality right now. I'm just explaining
Mhm.
like during that time. Um, so during that time, I was thinking that. So that's how I got like I thought Islam was right, and it seems like it made the most sense. And during that time, people were explaining to me the miracles of Islam, and I was like, oh, this makes sense, and I wanted to get into it.
Mhm. Well, what aspect of there being just a one God is something that resonated with you compared to Because there are other religions that have just one God.
um sorry, I was quite young during that time, so I didn't really know about other religions.
Hmm.
I didn't know that other religions had only one God. I converted years ago, so I didn't know, like, during that time when I was younger. I didn't know, but now I do. But like I didn't know. But what made me like think that one God made sense, because like, how can there be more than one God? Like, you know, it just doesn't make sense. Like, one God seems like the right thing. It's just to me during that time, because like, it just, I don't know how to explain. Like, I don't know why. Like, it just didn't make sense to have like two gods or whatever. Because God is like supposed to be powerful and like the one thing that created everything. So I just thought of it that way.
Mm. Yeah, I guess it's like an element where um, it's almost simpler. And because if you think that there's this one God who is the most powerful, capable of everything, then it would have to be just one person in charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah. I think I felt about it the same kind of way where uh, everything has to come down to one origin, and if everything comes down to one origin, then there would be one God. So just to compare as well again, how much did your parents teach you about their ancestral religions, so Buddhism and Taoism?
I'm not gonna lie, like, we they don't really teach a lot. Actually, like, I just follow what they did. Like, if they did something, I'll just follow them. So, for example, they pray, I just follow them. Like, I just do it. Like, I wasn't really taught about it, So it was something like that.
Mhm. And when it comes to, um, I know that one of the things that's most noticeable with Muslims, with Muslim communities, is when the women wear the head coverings, the hijab, or maybe they wear a niqab.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you must have noticed that because you're in a Muslim majority country.
Yeah, I did.
What did you think of that when you were, assessing Islam, like learning more about it?
When I was learning about Islam, I actually thought of it as a protection for women. I thought that, like, covering up is a way for us to protect ourselves, and for us to for us to, like, for to prevent the gaze of men, basically. That was what I thought,
Mhm.
and I thought it was the right thing
Yeah,
during that time. Yeah.
to basically that way that you won't be targeted by men essentially because they can't fully see you, I guess is the idea.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm. Or they see it as like a mark of respect that okay, this is someone that we shouldn't this is a Muslim sister kind of thing.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And like, I thought that, like, it's a command from Allah, so we shouldn't really question it. Like, even if, like, even if there isn't like a reason, like for like covering, protecting ourselves from men, like, I was thinking, like, Allah commanded this, like our creator commanded this. Like, how am I, like, to be questioning Allah's what is this, commands? So it's like that too.
Mhm.
That's not the only thing. Also, this is another part of it.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned to me privately that at the time you were around 13, 14 when you were going through this learning journey.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, while you were going through all this, were you talking to your parents about how you were learning about Islam? Did you share any of this experience with them?
No, I did not. I kept it a secret.
Why did you keep it a secret if you don't mind me asking?
I was kind of scared of how they would react, because I was quite young, and you know, they might not be accepting of it, so I didn't say anything. So yeah, that's basically why. And I also was kind of afraid that I couldn't be like the best example of a Muslim during that time. So I was afraid that, what if I tell them and they think, oh, I'm not a good example of being a good example of a Muslim yet. But it's also not that. I was also scared of being judged. Like, yeah, like between those two reasons.
Mhm. So once you decided, okay, I'm Muslim, what changed in your life? Like, what did you start doing differently? What did you start thinking about differently?
Um, I I became like more conservative, I guess. Basically, what changed was that oh, sorry, oh my god, I'm sorry. I was supporting LGBTQ before I converted to Islam. after that I was very very much against it. I like I guess you can say homophobic. Um, that changed, and I was very very against dating before marriage. You know. Let me think. I started praying 5 times a day. Um, I just like a lot of things about me changed, I guess, and I started seeing like hijab's protection and how me covering up makes me better. I don't know, like this is I don't think this is a Muslim mindset. I'm not really sure, but like for me, like during that time, I was thinking, oh, I'm covering up, so I'm better. I'm better than the people who don't cover up. So yeah, like that,
Mm.
and like I thought I was better than everyone. I thought like I'm better than everyone from other religions. Like they're all going to hell. What else changed is that I was so sad that my family was going to hell. I was thinking, oh no, like, my family, they're kafirs, they're gonna go to hell. Like, how depressing is that? So
Mhm.
yeah, that's another part of it.
So did you ever wear the hijab at all when you were?
Yes, I did, but I did it in secret. Whenever I went to the masjid or if I hanged out with friends like who know are Muslim, I wore it with them. So stuff like that, basically.
Wow. So you would also go to the masjid, the mosque alone in secret without your parents knowing.
Yes, I actually walked. I walked there actually.
You would walk there.
Yeah.
And uh, were you ever scared that maybe someone who knows you but doesn't know that you're Muslim would see you somewhere out and about? Or
Yes, definitely.
yeah.
I was very scared, but I was thinking, um, it's worth it because like it's for God, and
Mhm.
I would be rewarded in the hereafter afterwards. Something
Yeah.
like that.
How did that make you feel? Because I remember when I was Muslim, I had a very similar mindset of um, I definitely had the homophobia thing as well, where I just looked down and thought that gay people were disgusting, and I also used to feel like, wow, I'm on the right religion, I'm on the right path of life, and I felt better than the people who didn't believe, and I also was worried for my parents because they weren't practicing as much as they should have been, and other people in my family because I could see that they weren't praying the 5 times a day. And I felt guilty about that myself too, because I wasn't always praying 5 times a day. So,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm curious to know is, how did you feel during this time period, like emotionally? Like, did you feel good? Like, did this bring happiness to you in your life?
When I converted to Islam,
Yeah. And once you start practicing it.
well, like yeah, I actually did feel happier because I was thinking like no matter what happened to me, like all the hardships are gonna be worth it. So I was happy like during that time.
Mhm. And what was your thinking in terms of the future for you? Because you were still young at that point, still going to school. What was your thinking about what you want to do as a career, or even in terms of romantic relationships? What was your thinking at that time?
At that time,
Hmm.
I wasn't really sure what job I wanted yet, but I knew that I wanted to continue my studies. But for relationships, like romantic wise, I wanted to get married. I didn't want to date. I just want to straight up get married, and I even wrote this down. Like I wanted to go to Hajj or Umrah with my spouse, and I basically just wanted to find someone who was righteous and religious, and I wanted to do it the halal way. But I also was like kind of frustrated because I didn't know how to do that because it was quite difficult for me because like my family's not Muslim, and it's quite harder for converts to be able to get married that way. So yeah, I did want to get married, but I was thinking, what are my parents are gonna say like if I just straight up marry someone without dating them or getting to know them? I mean, yes, you can get to know them, but like I mean, like just straight marriage, straight up to marriage. Like there's no dating like 1 year or 2 years. Like we're not doing that. Like I was like worried about what my family would think about that.
I guess you must have felt that, at some point you're going to have that conversation with them, no? Like somewhere, at
Yes,
some point in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
The other point that I wanted to ask you about, and so you mentioned that you would have wanted to go on the pilgrimage to Mecca, the Hajj,
Yeah.
with your still hypothetical Muslim spouse. Is there
Yeah.
is there anything else that you wanted to do as a Muslim? Something else that you wanted to experience?
Um, I don't know. Like there was like, I guess I wanted to be able to have a family to celebrate Eid with, or Ramadan, you know, stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. And in terms again, just to go back to uh, the role of women in Islam. So you understood the hijab and what it was there for, according to Islamic teachings, to protect women, to for their modesty. What other things did you learn about women in Islam?
I learned about how men are the protectors of women, and um, I learned about like the wife beating thing, but I accepted it during that time. I justified it because it was like beating lightly, so I was like, oh, it's okay then. So yeah, I had that, and I don't know, I can't really remember because it's been a really long time actually. Maybe I apologize for my memory.
No, it's okay. You're sharing a lot. No, this is great. So when you mentioned the wife beating thing, you mean how it mentions in the Quran that if you're having a dispute with your wife and uh, you've tried everything else, then you're supposed to strike them as a
Yeah,
husband.
yeah, that one.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so you were taught the same thing as me, I think, where the strike them means just like a light tap kind of thing, not beating them in like
yeah.
domestic violence kind of way, where you bruise them and maybe make them bleed. So much more mild. And how did you feel about being a woman then in Islam? Like what emotions did you feel? Did you feel pride? Did you feel was there any kind of thing of like, okay, why is the man the head of the household, or did it all make sense to you?
Honestly, I when I was Muslim, I was kind of like conflicted because I didn't understand why must you like have this step. Like I think that it should just go to divorce if things are not working out. Like why must you discipline your wife like that, like a child? So I was thinking that, but at the same time, I was also thinking that you know, Islam makes the men's the leader and the protector, so it's like their responsibility or something. I wasn't sure. Like I was basically conflicted because I I was kind of like someone who was kind of like feminist before I came to Islam, so it was very hard for me to accept certain things, but I managed to push through because like I still wanted to please Allah, and I thought that it was the right thing to do, and I thought that basically I thought that Allah was right and I'm wrong because there's like a verse that says that sorry, perhaps you hate something that is good for you or something like that. What is it again? Do you remember it?
No,
Uh,
no, I don't. But I'm familiar with that kind of teaching. Yeah, for sure.
Perhaps something that is good for you you don't like, or and something that's bad for you you like. There's a verse something like that.
Hmm.
Like that. So I was thinking, oh, there's this verse. So how can I know better than my creator? To be like thinking, oh, why would this be in the book? Like, So I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. This should be the right thing, I guess.
Hmm. And what was your relationship like with other Muslims in the community around you? So, if I'm not mistaken, it sounds like you had a few Muslim friends when you were in this early stage of becoming a Muslim.
Yes, I did have Muslim friends even when I wasn't interested in Islam,
Hmm.
but they weren't really practicing. Basically, my relationship with them were okay, I guess. It wasn't like bad, but like at some point, like I visited somewhere because like one of my friends invited me. I was wearing hijab and covering up, right? This was like a experience that made me feel very low actually because I covered up and I wore hijab. It was covering my chest and I was wearing like a very what is this, baggy sweater and very baggy pants. You know, you can't see anything. I was covered, so I went there. But I'm not gonna say all Muslims are like this. This is like my experience with this one lady. So she kept like judging me and saying like I'm not covering enough, like I'm not doing this right, I'm not covering, like I should not wear pants. And I was very not motivated, you know. That's one of the bad experiences I had in the Muslim community. But of course, like uh I would fully admit that not everyone is like this. This is just my experience for this one girl. It was just like very very bad. Like why would you say something like that after I tried so hard? Like that's how like I got very like unmotivated at some point because I felt like I couldn't do good enough. So yeah, that's one of the experiences. But the rest of them are were actually not that bad. Like they were good. They were really friendly to me, and they were kind and they were welcoming. They were helpful. It helped me like throughout my stages, my early stages of being Muslim. I remember when I was when when uh when I was like 13, 14. There's this lady, like she offered me to learn about a class, like it's an online class. She paid for me so I could learn about it. Like that's, I guess that's kind of how my experience were like. And those people in the community, they helped me with the hijab and stuff like that. So yeah, that was my experience.
Thank you for sharing. And there's a question from a super chat from Nazone, who's a patron of the channel. Thank you so much, Nazone. Um, Related to this, so Nazone's asking, how did you deal with men having permission to marry multiple wives?
I don't know how I accepted it actually, because right now I could never accept something like that. But during that time, I was okay with it. I was like, you know, I was thinking Muhammad like he basically uh had multiple wives to protect them. I was thinking that way, like because like they were, I forgot what is it, what was the thing, but I thought that Muhammad just took in wives to protect them. Basically, that was what I thought. I was like, it's okay, you know, Islam is like helping women because for men to have multiple wives is like protecting a woman or helping them, you know, like
Mhm.
something like that. I don't know how I thought that way actually, but yeah, that's how I dealt
Um,
with it.
what I remember learning is that Muhammad made sure to marry women from different tribes, different parts of the early Muslim community, as almost like a sign of balance and how each group is really important. So there was an element of strategic alliance to it as well, beyond just
Mm-hmm.
protecting them. Yeah, I mean, it does stand out as a double standard because if you ask me when I was a Muslim, what it would be like for a woman to marry four men, it would be disgusting, it would be ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But during that time, I was thinking like I wouldn't want like my husband to have more than one wife. I wanted to be the only one. So I was thinking like, you know, Islam, you know, there's like in a nikah you can like put like what is this like, what is it, it's like you can like sign something to make sure they can't get a second wife. So I was thinking I would do that for myself.
I have heard of something like that that some people do. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. You can do that.
So, what would you say? I think it's really interesting that Islam gave you this sense of community. Would you say that this was something you were missing in your life at that point? That support group beyond your family of friends and people who care about you?
Yeah, yes, I was very happy to have them. Like honestly, I do not have hate for any of them. I think they're still very great people and they were very helpful during that time. But I just, I think that it was very great, like, during that time for me because, like, I was quite alone and I didn't know what to do because just recently converted and these people around me, they were helping me. So, yeah, it was great to have a community outside,
Mhm.
other than my family.
Wow. And I guess the last thing I want to ask you before we move on to why you left Islam is how did it feel to be part of this religion when you come from a different culture? Like you mentioned, your ancestral background is Buddhist. Taoist, and this is another religion from a completely different part of the world, and it's in Arabic. So how did you feel about those things?
When I came to how I felt like to when I come to Islam, coming from a different background, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Honestly, I don't know. Like there wasn't like a specific feeling. It's just that it's more like I was kind of disappointed because my family wasn't Muslim, and I was sad that they were going to hell and stuff like that. So it's kind of more like that
Hmm.
than like feeling weird. But I was also kind of shocked because I never expected me to ever convert to Islam. I was never really religious growing up. I kind of was like I had a phase where I was Christian, but that was basically it. Um, I never expected to become Muslim ever, so it was quite shocking to me, I guess, during that time. But also I was sad because my family. I was thinking, oh, there's people I care about are gonna go to hell or something. So yeah, it's kind of just like that.
So you had like a brief phase where you were a Christian, you said,
Yeah,
or
I did.
you felt connected to Christianity.
No, I did become Christian at
You
some
did
point.
become Christian.
Yes.
So okay, before we get to the next subject, then I would like to know a little bit more about that. What do you think was the thing? Now you can look back on it. You're older. You've experienced all these things. What what made you drawn? Because it sounds like you didn't grow up in a religious family. What drew you to uh, Christianity and Islam? Like,
For
why did you feel like you
Christianity,
needed those things? Yeah.
for Christianity is because like I was like I was like in a Christian school at some point, and there was this pastor who kept telling me to, you know, research Christianity, but I didn't really research it. I didn't have knowledge on it actually, but I went to church and stuff like that, and I just like blindly followed the religion. I became Christian just from that. I didn't know. I didn't learn anything. Like I just decided, oh, I want to worship Jesus, and Jesus is gonna help me through this and something like that. But it was just a very short time of my life. I was Muslim for years, but for Christianity, it was just a very short time actually.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Hmm.
and what drawn me to like these religions is like I don't know, like I felt like better knowing there's like a hereafter or a God that could help me if I'm feeling down or something like that. Like I could pray to someone knowing they're there or something. So yeah, something like that.
No, that totally makes sense. Yeah, I can really relate to a lot of what you're sharing, Zara, because I think the thing that you and I have in common is that even though I grew up Muslim, we both grew up in families that weren't very religious, and yet even despite that, when we were very young, we still became very drawn to religion. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't fully appreciate about how religion works, where um, when we're young, we're very impressionable and we're very sensitive to our surroundings and to external influences, especially from things that seem like they have a lot of power in society and that seem to offer answers in life. I think one of the things that really motivated me when I was Muslim was this belief that this is the right thing to do and you will get the eternal reward. So, especially if you were more of a, I would say, like in my case, like a compliant kind of kid, like wanting to do what pleases the parents or the authority figures, then you're like, okay, I'm going to do this because this is what society says is the right thing to do. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing that's so interesting to me when I hear your story, even though you're from a completely different culture, you grew up in a very different part of the world, is that even if your parents aren't this big religious influence, religion can still reach you when you're young.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Hmm. So, okay, Zara, we're gonna just take a little pause. I'm gonna just check the status of the poll question. Does Islam oppress or liberate women? So I guess the answer isn't surprising considering I am a channel for ex-Muslims. So it's 98% for Islam oppresses women and 2% for Islam liberates women, we've got about 50 votes right now, so you can vote for that in the live chat. And for everyone watching, if you have any questions for Zahra or me, but mainly for Zahra, we're gonna take questions at the very end if there are any. I don't think there are any right now, so if you do want to ask your questions, leave them in the live chat, and we'll get to them at the very end. And so I guess Zahra, the next thing to talk about, and this one we actually didn't talk about much privately, so I don't know much about this. So I'm going to be learning this with everyone watching. What's changed in terms of your relationship with Islam? Like, what started your journey of leaving it?
Well, I still had that feminism in me because despite me trying to push it away, it was still in me. So like seeing certain beliefs, like I felt as if like um it was kind of unfair. I guess like I felt that way during that time because I still had that feminist ideology in me. So that's how I started like kind of pushing away from Islam, I suppose.
So, just so we can get into this like a bit in a bit more detail, what were some of the things that you remember noticing that made you question the possibility that Islam is true?
Wait, sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, if you can go back to when you first starting doubting Islam, what were some of the things you noticed that made you question it being true?
I would question the four wives things, even though I try to justify it a lot, and also like the wife beating was really kind of difficult for me to accept, and like how this is weird. Honestly, I don't know if this is weird, but perfumes like perfumes being haram for women and halal for men. But I found a way to justify it during that time. But it was just that like it's crazy how even a perfume can tempt a man. Like, shouldn't we teach men to control themselves? I was thinking like that, but I was thinking, it's a protection, it's protection from Allah. So yeah, it was kind of like that.
Yeah, I guess that extends to the hijab as well, right?
Yeah,
Why do women have to cover themselves? Why can't men just behave and not assault or abuse women?
yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, actually, there's this one. I wanted to read this to you, Zahra. This is like a really nice comment for you. So this is from Renova Zero. So Renova Zero says, Zahra, you are an amazing and strong person. I have nothing but the utmost respect for you.
I'm very grateful for that. Thank
Yeah.
you. It makes me feel very motivated and very happy that I'm able to help people. And honestly, that makes me really happy because this is what I wanted to do, and I'm glad that you guys are here and you can support me through this. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Renova. So Zahra, like, just to continue on this front, so it sounds like the real gateway for you in terms of questioning Islam was how there seemed to be this double standard towards the treatment of women, and that your inner feminist was uh, questioning it because it just didn't feel right to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you experienced along those lines?
It was kind of mostly that. Oh wait, yes, I have a story.
Mhm.
Um, at some point, like I was like having something called was. Do you know what that is?
Yes. Yeah. Just
So I had
explain it for
was.
anyone who's watching who might not know.
Basically, it's like they say there are whispers from shaitan or like that. So I had a lot of whispers like during that time. I was very paranoid. Like, what if I nullified a belief or something? Because I had like beliefs that kind of were against Islam. So I was like really paranoid. Like I was thinking, oh, with this belief, like, am I a kafir now? Like, am I a kafir? It's like, and people kept telling me this was, but yeah, so I was like really paranoid, and it went on for a long time. I would repeat my shahada, and I was so scared. Like I was really scared because I knew that I had like some beliefs that aren't really like stable. It was kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean that's a scary element of it, that like that you actually believe that that the devil, the shaitan, is within you, tempting you, and I guess, did you feel, just so I can understand, did you feel like those thoughts of questioning Islam were coming from him, from the devil?
Yes, for sure.
Mm. And besides women, is there anything else about Islam that you were questioning or thinking about more deeply as the more you were practicing?
I think it was mostly just that actually.
Hmm.
There might be others, but it's of course like it's been a very long time, so I can't really remember
Yeah.
it that well. I apologize for that.
No, 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 no worries. So, what then led you to decide that you're no longer Muslim?
Just one day I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I can't accept this. I don't know how I'm gonna accept this. This is too much for me to deal with. And I was thinking, I don't hate Islam or Muslims during that time, but I just can't do this. I just can't. And I eventually left Islam, which actually was very difficult for me because I had a lot of anxiety because of that. I was very scared, but I ended up leaving because I couldn't bear with it anymore. Like with some beliefs that I didn't agree with, and I felt that even if I kept continue practicing as a Muslim, that my beliefs that excuse me that my beliefs are against Islam, that would make me a kafir or something. That I wasn't a good Muslim or I was gonna go to hell. And so then I just eventually left.
Hmm. And another message for you, Zahra, from Flying Spaghetti Monster, uh, says, Zahra, you're a brave person. I wish you all
Oh,
good in your
thank you so
life.
much.
Not everyone, especially women, think like you. I wish everyone would become critical about religion like Zahra. So, a question related to what you just shared with us, Zahra, is
Yeah,
you mentioned earlier that when you saw things that didn't resonate with you, especially as a feminist, that you felt like, well, Allah knows best. What changed for you to no
yeah.
longer just say, okay, no, no, I have to accept this, Allah knows best? Like, what do you think it was that made you change your mentality on that?
Well, like, I just kept reading into it, and I found out about how there are even like, in heaven where there what is it called, the horror, or how do you pronounce that? Do you know what the heavenly
Oh, Hur
maidens or
al-Ain.
something?
Yeah.
Yes, that. So that was kind of like my breaking point. I found that really hard to accept, because like imagine even going to heaven and having to see that, like they say that, oh, you're not going to feel jealousy, but why must that like exist? Like why must that be like a thing? Why can't there just be like one partner for you in like
Oh,
heaven or something? Why must there be like these? Why must this exist, like something like that, I
Just
guess.
just so I can explain to anyone who might not be familiar with this. So, uh, what Muslims are often taught is that once you go to paradise, then if you're a man, you get the reward of all of these maidens that you can, do with as you please. And it's one of those things where the more you think about what paradise is, the more illogical it is. I remember, for me, one of the scenarios that I thought was nonsensical was the case where, um, uh, imagine you're someone who, let's say you're a woman in this instance. You married a man and you really loved this man and you had a great life together, you had children together, and you felt that they were the love of your life. And then tragically, when you were still relatively young, let's say in your 40s, he died of cancer or something. And then you met a second husband, you married a second man, and you really loved the second husband as well. When you go up to paradise, which husband do you end up living with? Do you split, like, do you have like a split custody kind of thing? 50% of the week with the first husband, 50% with the second husband, or would you live with both husbands and then maybe one of the husbands had multiple wives and then so it just kind of becomes an absurd scenario. And the teaching I always learned was, once we get to paradise, those kinds of considerations don't matter because we're thinking about it through our limited human minds. And Nazon makes a point here. I'm not really sure about this. Maybe you're right. So Nazon says most Muslim women don't know about Hur al-Ain. I'm not sure. I think it was something that was commonly taught when I was a kid, but you could be right. Uh, and thank you for the super chat. R. Abu Sahan, sorry if I mispronounced that, it says, keep up the good work. Thank you so much. So, Zahra, the next thing to ask you is uh, so you're going through now this process of questioning and doubting Islam until you decided you can't live with it anymore. At this point, did you talk to your parents about it?
No, I never considered talking to my parents about it. I never thought of it. I just thought I could just handle it myself, you know? I did not tell my parents about it.
So, like jumping to today, as far as they're aware, you never had this experience of learning about Islam, converting to it,
They,
becoming Muslim, and
they,
leaving it.
no, they sort of knew because I told my another family member. They knew because from that, my family member told them, so that's how they found out. But they eventually forgot about it, thankfully. But during that time, they were very concerned for me actually. They were afraid that I could not leave Islam and stuff like that. But I did not convert under the law because I was under age during that time.
Yeah.
So I didn't convert under the law, so they eventually forgot about it. They were worried that if I did, like I couldn't leave or something like that. So yeah.
So they did learn a little bit about it. So maybe they didn't know the extent to which you were practicing it, like going to
They don't
masjid
know
and
that much.
so they
They
knew
just
you
know
were
the small
maybe a
part.
little bit interested in it.
Yeah, like basically like that.
Okay, I see. And uh, what happened when you left in terms of the community of Muslims that you had gotten to know, the Muslim friends, going to masjid? So what happened there? Did you just stop talking to them, or did you keep talking to them?
I talk to some of them, but I keep my, identity a secret. I just spoke respectfully, with respect and kindness, and just like I just like didn't say certain phrases anymore. Though they probably got worried about me, and actually that's one thing I wanted to mention because since during that time I was underage, I couldn't like convert under the law. Like nowadays, like they're messaging me saying, "Oh, you can convert under the law soon. You know, you can do it soon. Like you should do it like as soon as possible. You know, because like I'm older now. During that time, I couldn't. So they were messaging me and stuff like that. I was like,
Hmm.
thanks for letting me know. You know, yeah. It's kind of like something I'll just ignore. I guess you know. Of course, like I'm very grateful for their help during that time, but I'm also afraid to tell them about um what happened right now. Honestly, I know like they probably won't see this, but I'm also very paranoid.
Hmm.
I know you
I
should probably know
understand.
this. I'm very paranoid that they would find this, but I don't think they would. But me, I'm an overthinker. I'm worried. I'm like, what if they find this? And what if they text me? They find a video. They link me the video. They're like, what is this? What are you doing? You know. So yeah, I'm trying to be like very careful. So I'm very worried about that.
Yeah, yeah, and for everyone watching, that's why we're not specifying a lot of things like where Zahra lives, how old she is right now, and a few other things, just for privacy reasons. I think you'll be okay, and I think this is one of the reasons why I'm so happy that you decided to share this because it is still brave that you're doing this. So
Thank
yeah,
you. I'm very
just thank you
grateful.
so much again. And before we get to the end, just a couple more questions. So,
Yeah, no
the other
problem.
question I had is because one of the reasons why a lot of questioning Muslims really struggle with leaving Islam, and a lot of ex Muslims who do end up actually leaving share this as well, is how the fear of going to hell, the fear of punishment from Allah, the fear that this is the devil at work is something that really keeps them still believing and practicing. How would you say that you got over that?
How I got over my fear of hell?
Yeah, yeah, and all the other things that the I guess you could say the punishments.
Well, I was very, very afraid. Like, when I recently left, I was quite unstable actually. There were many times where like I wanted to come back and I did, and I left again because I guess couldn't take it. But I eventually got over it because like I just stopped thinking about it so much, and like I had also some friends who are ex-Muslim. I'm and they kind of like, helped me get over that fear, I suppose.
Yeah, it's really important to have community with these things, and I think that's something that sadly a lot of ex-Muslims don't have because they're keeping it secret from their family, their friends, and I think this is one of the things why having spaces like this online can be so valuable
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you can be anonymous and still have an outlet. Not just you, I'm talking about a lot of ex-Muslims to just express these emotions, to share thoughts that maybe you've never said out loud before. And ultimately, I think it's really sad that that's needed, but that's the reality of the world we're living in, where leaving religion comes at a price, and like in your case, like converting to it also had to be done in secret. So
Mm-hmm.
wow, wow, what a journey. um,
Yeah.
I guess a good question to ask now is, um, what would you say is the state of your spirituality or religious beliefs now?
I don't really have one right now, but like I guess I believe in like what you put out comes back to you, because I think
Hmm.
that like let's say if you do something bad, like eventually it'll come back to you, or you do something good, it'll come back to you. Like just something like I believe in because I kind of experienced it myself. So that's something I believe in. But I'm not really religious. I'm just kind of like, I don't know if God exists, I'm not sure, but like um there it's just kind of like I'm unsure, like I'm basically not sure, Like it's kind of like that,
Yeah, no,
basically.
I know.
Sometimes
Well,
I think,
like,
oh, sorry.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead. What
I
do you
said
sometimes
sometimes
think?
I think that there could be God, but maybe like God isn't like the any other religions that there is, like you just like a God, like one God, like sometimes, but I'm not really sure. I guess you can call me agnostic, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, agnostic, I think sounds like the accurate label. And is there anything, when you look back now, is there anything that you miss about being Muslim?
I guess I miss having the comfort of God, and like knowing that He is there when I'm having hardships and stuff like that. Because right now, like if I have issues, like it's harder to deal with than before, because I had a mentality that Allah is gonna make it easier for me. So I guess that's something I miss.
Yeah, I know because that's the thing that keeps a lot of people believing, and the idea of there being an ultimate justice where everything that's wrong will be corrected, will be made right, is a really really powerful idea. And letting that go like means letting go of a lot of certainties about yourself, especially when something bad happens, right? Like let's say you get sick, or maybe like a loved one gets sick. And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. And so how do you cope with that? Or is it just, I guess, something that you're figuring out as you go along now?
Like with like hardships.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, alhamdulillah. Oh my god, I almost forgot. I didn't say that. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Like, um, sorry. That was like I don't know why I almost said that. That's so dumb. I'm so sorry. I was about to say, thankfully, I have a lot of good friends that are helpful, and they support me towards my hardships and difficulties.
Mhm.
Also,
And
I don't, I don't know why that just came out of my mouth, because I guess I'm really used to saying that. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
almost accidentally said that. I'm really sorry.
No, it's totally okay. It's totally okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's it.
last question I want to ask you before we get to there are a few questions for you in the live chat.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
why did you decide that you wanted to start posting things about your experience, and why did you decide you wanted to do this? And by the way, for everyone watching, you can find Zahra's social media links in the video description below. So you're on Instagram, and you also have a YouTube channel that you're planning on putting videos on very soon.
Well, okay. The reason why I decided to do this is because of my own experiences and also my friends. You know, I have ex-Muslim friends, and then I just thought that if I do this, I could help inspire people and help them through their journey, and basically be a support group for someone. Like, be able to make a community where I could support people and help them through their journey, because there are definitely many people who are going through something like this and they feel alone and they aren't sure what to do and they're afraid. So I guess like my goal is to be able to help people, and yeah, basically it's just that's why. And since I have experiences with myself and I've seen experiences with other people, I just decided, I guess I might as well take this opportunity to um help others as well. And yeah, basically that's it.
Yeah, no, that's very well said. Thank you so much, Zahra. I really admire that goal again. And it's something that I hope to do with my channel as well. So yeah, for everyone watching, if you have a chance to just follow Zahra on YouTube or on Instagram, please do so, and you'll be coming out with some content hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, that's great. And okay, so thank you so much again, Zahra. And before we go off the air, I'm gonna ask you a few questions that came up in the live chat. Let's just check the status of the poll question: does Islam oppress or liberate women? Still holding at 98% for Islam oppresses women, and then 2% for Islam liberates women. So you can vote in that if you would like as well.
Yeah, I already did.
You did, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go through the questions now. Let's see, we'll go in order. So this question, Gerwak had a few questions for you. So, question one: what made you leave the Christian sect that you're in, and what kind of Christian were you? Was it Catholic,
I did
Orthodox,
not.
Protestant?
Uh, I did not had a specific sect because I just blindly follow as I sit in the life. So I didn't know what I was doing, and I just left because like I just got there wasn't a really specific reason. I just stopped going to church and I stopped practicing. I stopped praying to Jesus and stuff like that. So that's just how it happened. Like there wasn't really a reason. I
It
did
didn't.
not.
It didn't stick with you, I guess.
Yeah, basically, I didn't
Mhm,
really like learn that much, so I won't really like speak on that religion. But it was just basically like a short thing, like a very very short period of my
mhm.
lifetime.
Okay, great. Thank you. And another question from Gerwak is: was feeling better than non-believers very important to you at one point? And if it was important for you, did it override any anxiety or questions you had for a while?
Wait, I don't understand. What? Sorry.
I'll read it again. So Gerwak was asking, was feeling better than non-believers when you were Muslim very important to you at one point?
Um, it wasn't that important to me, honestly. I kind of just wanted people to be guided. I did not think that it was important that I felt better, but of course, like I still want them to be guided, and I still felt like they were going to hell, and that I was right, and it was just basically like that. It wasn't like me feeling better or anything. I wanted them to be guided as well.
Mhm. That makes sense. So Gerwak had another question about hell and if it was important to you as a motivator, which I think we already covered. But thank you for the question, Gerwak. And the last question is from Renova. So Renova is asking, I don't know even if you would consider this to be how you view religion and God based on what you've shared, but Renova's question was, has your life improved since realizing that all religion and God is a lie? Well, first of all, I should ask you, do you think that religion and God is a lie?
Um, I don't really know. Like, I shouldn't
Yeah.
really speak out because I don't have knowledge on everything, and I do not want to offend anyone. But my life has been the same. There wasn't any much improvements. Actually, like it actually got a little bit harder because I did not have like a support system, I guess. Like I didn't have like when I was struggling, like I didn't think that, oh, I had God, like, something like that. So I think that instead of getting better, it actually got a little bit harder for me. But like um it got better in a sense where Like I stopped worrying so much, like because I was thinking like, oh, I was gonna go to hell. I didn't worry too much about that anymore, and I didn't worry about what is this? I didn't worry about missing prayers or what if like I didn't cover properly. I didn't have to worry about that anymore. So that's how it improved. But there are good things and also bad things, I guess. So it's like
As
kind
is
of
often the
100.
case, yeah, in life.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Zahra. There aren't any more questions, so uh, I want to just take this opportunity to say again, thank you so much for sharing this. And I really appreciate that you chose to share this with me and that you reached out to me. I'm glad that we managed to connect, and I look forward to seeing your posts and maybe some videos in the near future.
Yes, thank
And
you.
yeah,
And thank
yeah.
you so much for
Is
having
it,
me.
no, no, no. Thank you for coming. Is there anything you want to tell everyone before we end things?
Yeah, basically, if you're going through anything, just realize that it will get better. And if you're scared, like, do not worry. Like, it happens to us. Like, it's so normal. You'll eventually get out of the fear, and everything will be okay. And I hope that everyone here are safe and may they stay protected because, I understand that it can be very dangerous sometimes for ex-Muslims. So I hope that everyone's safe and happy. Yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you, Zahra. And for everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That will just really help in amplifying Zahra's message. And again, you can subscribe to her Instagram and her YouTube channel. The links are in the video description. And if you want to support this channel as well financially, there is a Patreon with a link below. Thank you so much to all the patrons who have been supporting me since I started this channel. I really, really, really appreciate it. I'm really moved that you find this work that I'm doing that important where you would want to support me like this. And if you want to make a one time donation, there's also a PayPal link in the video description below. So, yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in once more. Thank you again, Zahra. And we'll be
Thank
in touch
you.
for sure. Zahra, please feel free to reach out to me whenever you want as well. We know how to connect with each other. And if you viewer watching, want to share your story like Zahra did, you can reach out to me through Instagram, Twitter. My email is also on my About page on YouTube. So you can reach out to me in any of those ways. So, yeah, thank you so much again, everyone. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.